Good evening, everyone. I'm Jessican, the intern at LexClick. So, today I would be talking about the difference between res judicata and res sub judice, which comes under CPC, as we all know, as we have all learned, as we have all studied. So, first and foremost, I would like to talk about the construction of res judicata. What exactly is res judicata? The concept must be clear first. So, res judicata is the subset of the doctrine res judicata. The rule is provided under section 11. Alright, it provides that if a plea has been taken by a party in a proceeding between him and the defendant, he will not be permitted to take any pleas against the same party again of the same matter. So, it is quite easy to learn. One of the case laws which I would like to talk about would be the state of UP versus Nawab Hussain. It is a very famous case law wherein it was there in 1977 SC 1680A, wherein a sub inspector of police was dismissed from service by DIG. He challenged the order and dismissal by filing a writ petition in the High Court on the grounds that he was not offered a reasonable opportunity of being heard. Alright, so before passing the order, the contention was, however, negatived and the petition was dismissed. He then filed a suit and raised an additional ground that since he was appointed by the IGP, the DIG has no power to dismiss him. So, this is a battle between the police department himself. The state contended that the suit was barred by constructive res judicata. The trial court, appellate court, and the high court held that suit was not barred actually, but the Supreme Court held that suit was barred by constructive res judicata. So, this was about constructive res judicata, but let's come to the difference and let's talk about the difference between res judicata and res sub judice, which is our main topic. So, res judicata in layman's language, if I say, it would be matter which are already judged. Alright, and res judicata, on the other hand, on in a layman's language, I would say that are the judgments which are still, which are still under judgment. So, res judicata comes under section 11 of CPC, whereas res sub judice comes under section 10 of CPC. So, res judicata is applicable when matter is already decided by the court of competent jurisdiction. That means it has already been decided. Whereas res sub judice means, and it is applicable when a matter which is pending in the court of competent jurisdiction. It means that the matter is still being unheard in the court. So, and is still pending. The third difference would be that under res judicata, it prevents the trial of a suit or matter in issue which has already been decided by previous court. Alright, it means in layman's language, if I say that matters once decided cannot be raised again. Whereas res sub judice says that it bars the trial of a suit in which the matter in pending decision is in previous court. It means in layman's language, if I say, it prevents courts of previous cases who are trying for the parallel cases once again. So these are the differences. Now coming to the conditions. What are the conditions needed in res judicata and what are the conditions needed in res sub judice? So first condition needed in res judicata would be that suit must have been decided by court. Alright, if it's not decided, then it could not come under res judicata. The condition under res sub judice would be that there must be two parties, one previously and other subsequently instituted. So there must be two parties, must be clear. The second condition under res judicata would be The suit must be of the same nature. Same nature means that the matter must be the same. It could not be that a diverse matter first and then a criminal matter is coming up. No, it must be of the same uh, nature. Now, the condition of res sub judice would be that the suit must be of the same matter in issue of previous matter. It means that the matter which is previously been instituted, it must be of that nature only. Alright, the third condition under res judicata would be that both the suits must be between same parties, and the same condition applies on res sub judice too, that the suit must be of the same parties. The fourth condition under res judicata would be that the previous suit must be of a competent jurisdiction. Alright, and under res sub judice, the fourth condition would be the court of previous suit must have jurisdiction to try it. So there is a contradiction between the two, and you need to be very, you know, uh, need to know about it. Otherwise, it will be difficult to judge both what is res judicata and res sub judice. Now, the fifth condition under res judicata would be that that both parties must be litigated under the same title, whereas on the sub judice there must be a same title too. So there is a um same difference, and the reason behind this is, the conditions which are applicable in res judicata. The reason behind is that first and foremost that unnecessary and waste of time would not be there. Unnecessary cases piles up, and as we all know that judges are, you know uh, limited in number, whereas the cases are, you know very much high. So there must be, you know uh, there must not be a unnecessary waste of time. And second reason is that recovery of damages multiple times. It means that one party, if he has paid, then by uh, getting another case against him would mean that they are going to charge multiple times. So it is not factual, it is not correct, and it is not even, logical. So under res sub judice, if I ask about the reason, so first reason is that avoid wasting court's time. Court has limited time and court has multiple cases. It is same one of the same reason. So, and another difference would be that there must be avoidance of conflicting decisions. It means the decisions which are, contradictory in nature, the conflict wherein are arising, it must not be there. So there must not be a conflicting decisions between the two. Now, if I ask about the invokeness, so res judicata can be invoked by either through public interest litigation (PIL), all right, or through exception on fraud. Exception on fraud is a term which we need to, get a depth, which needs to be uh, talked about. Another, I'm talking about res sub judice. Res sub judice can be invoked by either through habeas corpus. We all know the writs uh, in the court. So the writ which can be, applied here and could be invoked is either through habeas corpus, and second condition could be through public interest litigation. The same. If these two conditions are there, then it could be invoked. So that's it for today. Thank you.